So now that we have a real understanding of the potential partner, it's time to consider some powerful value propositions. Now, note, this does not mean just selling the benefits of your product. Benefits are just facts or figures that build trust in a service or product, but there's no way to tie emotion into this equation. And so on a quick call, when you're just trying to get someone's mouth salivating so they want to jump on another call with you in the future, well, there's going to be no impact. Additionally, well, value in the eyes of the potential partner is not what you tell them, it's what they perceive and believe. So we need to help them with that belief and perception. Now, we could go deeper than just benefits and share an outcome, and this is getting closer. The issue with this approach is that if you tell a potential partner that 95% of your current customers doubled their turnover over 12 months using your service, well, that's all well and good, but if scalability isn't something they're focused on because they're currently massively understaffed and it's a huge pain point already, more revenue just leads to more pain, there's not necessarily something that they're going to be focused on. It's not going to be an advantage to them. Therefore, we must appreciate that our initial powerful value proposition is going to be an hypothesis. So we must state the hypothesis, ask questions about it, and really listen to the answers while digging deeper to confirm whether this is true or we need to change tactics as things are not as we assumed. So, before we make our hot call, we need to make a list of powerful value propositions that perhaps we're going to talk about. The first place to cover these are from pain and pleasure in the prospect's daily life, rather than product features or benefits or anything like that. It's not important that our service achieves XYZ, but when our service does achieve XYZ, how is the potential partner's pain going to go up or down, or how is their pleasure going to change as well? This is where we need to start. That is a potential value proposition that we could use on a warm call. Another powerful proposition is to make things sound easy. Now, we've all heard those adverts. I've definitely heard these. Maybe they're just targeting me for whatever reason, but most people have heard these YouTube adverts where for dudes, they explain that you can get chiseled abs with no sweat in 5 minutes a day with very little effort. And obviously, this is complete bullshit. But the number of sales that these organizations get is absolutely undeniable, so the messaging must be working. So try using one of these templates for your value proposition to achieve this similar effect. You can start your conversation with, we cut down the hassle of X, or we make it easier for companies to do X. We reduce the time it takes companies to go from X to Y. Similarly, cutting costs is a very strong value proposition to think about if this is something that your product or service can offer, because cutting costs allow management to avoid laying off staff, which is clearly a very negative event they've got to go through, and it's very personally stressful for them. It also allows them to look good in front of their boss because, hey, who doesn't like more profits at the end of the year when all the maths and the bean counters have been through the numbers? So see if you can lead with perhaps one of the following of, we help you find the best prices for, or we help you reduce the cost of, or you can reduce your software expenses with, or maximize the output of, or delay increases in. There's plenty of ways to go at that. There's plenty of ways to skin that cat, but that should give you some hopefully mental thought prompts. And finally, and this might not be the bulk of your value proposition, but it could be a turbocharger to ramp up the effectiveness of it. How are you different to other people in your space? So for example, with the sales school, the sales training market is a $2.2 billion a year industry, but 9 times out of 10, it's some dude in an ill-fitting suit, or it's some woman in a weird power suit, and they either do crappy online video content with it's just terrible. There's a reason why you're here and not there. It's rubbish. There's the reason why I created all this and created the podcast in the first place, because 99% sales training is terrible. Or even worse, they come in sporadically, randomly a couple of times a year. They do a one-off presentation or a one-off sit around a hotel table, whiteboard experiment, and no one's better off. So as you know, we focus on a wide breadth of really useful business training. We include daily activity tracking, and we give all our members a real understanding of their own sales DNA. Completely different, right? And there's a very good reason why, well, most sales training doesn't work, and it's 50% of all sales training knowledge is forgotten within the first 4 days of the training. So it doesn't work. There's a reason why we've gone the opposite direction. But if you are truly differentiated from your competition in the industry, this is something to look at as well. Being different puts you in your own category with hopefully no competition. Therefore, it's a powerful way to get a head start in the race and lock out your competition. And all of this starts with your value proposition on a hot call. So what makes you different? Not your product or service or your company's brand. You personally, let's focus on that first. Here is an example of this that I used regularly in my medical device sales role. So I'd say, hi, Mr. Surgeon, I'm Will from 123 Medical Device Company. I spoke to Sam, your theatre manager, and I see that you have quite a bit of downtime between procedures when you don't have spare equipment in stock. So this is all endoscopic keyhole surgery equipment that I used to sell. And you have to ring up and get it delivered on the same day at a high cost. What sets us apart is that we will leave X number of products or stock with you, and we're only going to charge you for it when you use it. On top of that, I always have stock with me at all times, and I only live about 30 minutes away. So if you're ever really desperate, I can come over and deliver it myself. Now, you don't need to use hyperbole, you don't need to lie. And the higher up the food chain, it's actually the easier it gets with these individuals to understand a really personalized value proposition when they hear one. The people at the top of the food chain, if you do all of this work, they'll get really excited when you get on the phone with them. Now, admittedly, these individuals might be busier day to day, and so they might be initially harder to get in contact with. But because you're dealing with large organizations, if you can save them 1% on their staffing costs, for example, when you speak to a CFO, CEO, that kind of individual, they're literally going to leap down the phone for the chance to speak with you. And the final point to remember of all of this is when you're putting together your value proposition, which the rest of your phone selling will essentially be based around, is that you have to be personal. This is what makes it a hot call and not just a cold call kind of replicated with 500 scripts that you're pigeonholing someone into. Think of it like this. If you were at a party, you'd introduce yourself to the dude who's hosting the party a lot differently to the hot blonde girl that you fancy and that you want to chat up, right? It's no different in sales. To become super effective and to separate yourself from the competition, you've got to have the mindset that you're approaching actual, and this is shouldn't be mind-blowing, you're approaching actual people, not just numbers on a CRM or a spreadsheet. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to click subscribe, leave a comment below what you thought about the video and the content itself, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video.